it's not always going to look like what we started it out to be, but our heart is still there. Our heart is still in it. If something happens and we decide to sunset it, I'm just really proud that we started it, and we just kept going, and we could say that from our little 10-year-old selves, we built something, and that's what we always wanted. So I'm happy.
Hey y'all, welcome back to the First Gems. How are y'all feeling? Yay!
Amazing.
Good. Feeling good.
Great. Happy New Year, y'all. Y'all know this is our season 3 finale episode. And honestly, it feels really grounding to be able to say that. Wouldn't y'all say the same?
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
It felt long, but we're here.
Yes. But honestly, I feel like we didn't really want to rush past this season because a lot had happened, both publicly and privately, internally with our business and brand, with our wins. Some of them we've celebrated with our community, some of them we've just celebrated within ourselves more quietly. And I feel like we learned a lot of lessons as well that we probably also didn't realize were lessons until most recently. So for today's episode, I just wanted us to sit with it, have a quick little recap, finale, celebration, and really just have a conversation about what season 3 really brought us to, what it gave to our community, and how we're growing and carrying this brand into the next season and into what's next for this year. So take it like a new year refresher, but also kind of reflecting on just where we've been so far. So I'm really excited to take our listeners through this journey, but also just sit down and chat with the gems, and really use this episode as a mirror. So does that sound good for y'all?
That sounds
Yeah,
amazing.
I love it. Let's get into it.
Yeah, because just like you said to me, this season has been long, like long. Um, And that's a good word to capture how season 3 like felt for us. Are there any other words that we can think of to like just describe season 3 in a whole bunch?
Exciting. I think there was a lot of a learning curve for us. So I do think while we were learning, we were also very excited by all of the new things, and there was just like a whole just a big sort of just feeling of wow, like this is all new. We have we have such a grand vision. Like we can see where we fit in, we can see where we can go. And it was just like a whole lot of excitement, I would say.
Yeah, we did have
Yeah,
some
I think
exciting moments.
we did. And I had to go back and see, like, in preparation for us talking about season 3. The reason why I said it so long, because I was like, oh my gosh, all this stuff happened in our quote unquote season 3, which extended a little bit over um the year, kind of. Yeah, extended a little bit over the year than our normal seasons. And to piggyback off of that, it just felt reaffirming. Like, I think we got
Mhm.
really affirmed this year because, like you said, all of the things that we had been speaking about, adding to our visions, they started to take shape. And it was reaffirming to know that we belong in these rooms and we're on the right track. So I'm
Mhm.
definitely appreciative of the growth this season and the things that we were able to do.
Yeah, I love it. I know we're about to get into all of that throughout this discussion. I think the one word for me, and we've heard this so many times, so I'm not trying to trigger anybody, but unprecedented. We are living in unprecedented times right now. But also just thinking about this season, yeah, we've had the most episodes in this single season than we've had across, since the beginning of the first gem. So that's one. I think just the way and like the format of how the season went, our guests, like everything just kind of felt like fresh and new. And we were really kind of just trying to blaze a new path for what, the brand was going in directions and a lot of just changes. So I really feel like we just, really stepped outside of ourselves from season 2, especially, and just really went for the things that we wanted to see. So I'm proud of us. Pats on the back. Okay, so when we are able to look back now, what do y'all think was like what defined season 3 for y'all? And what I mean by that is like of course there were key moments and like, just like big wins that we had, but for example, for me, I think when we had our like internal chats of, what we wanted season 3 to look like and, the new things that were coming up with our partnerships and just things that we were able to accomplish. I think the defining spirit around season 3 was really integrating and aligning to like the vision that we have for the brand, because I don't think we really talk a lot about how like there's a First Gems podcast and then there's also the First Gems brand. And I feel like season 3 was an opportunity for us to really start to grow both and like, be more visible with our followers, supporters, and audience, and like let them know that this is a growing brand as well as a podcast. So what do y'all think?
I resonate with that a lot. For me, I think season 3, it can be defined as kind of like clarity. I feel like we really honed in on who we wanted to speak to in our content while still also being inclusive, like not shutting anybody out, but just being very like clear on the
Yeah.
audience that we're the audience in the community that we're building. And so, yeah, I think part of that, was also a result of our partnership and kind of just to your point of the alignment and kind of seeing how, oh, like, you know, we resonate with what they're doing and, we're doing great things too. And it's clear, like, okay, we're moving in this direction together. So that's how I would
Yeah.
define it. Definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think this season taught us that we are resilient. Like, although we had a lot of positives that came out of this season, we definitely faced some challenges this season that we haven't talked about. And the fact that we're still here and we're still doing it, like personally, collectively, like we've had things that we've had to navigate. And I think seeing that, it just makes me so appreciative of you all and our willingness to yeah, our willingness to just keep going in spite of everything. I feel like I've had my lows. I've had highs, but I've also had my lows and how I feel about
Mhm.
our progress as a brand. And sometimes you can get discouraged. Like you can be like, "Oh my gosh, I'm putting so much energy into this thing and it's not maybe taking off how I expected, or it just feels like we're going slow." But sometimes, like, there's beauty in the slow grind. And I just love that through everything, we've been resilient. We're still here. We're not trying to be perfect, which speaks to our first episode, Perfection is Ruining Your Life. And I think that really spills into the brand and how
That's so
we
true.
yeah, how we operate with the brand. We're not trying to be perfect. We're just trying to be present and be like be here, show up.
Oh man.
Spoken like a true gem. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Just true, Tanina, because, I feel like we could speak for the collective and say 2025 in particular, and maybe these past several years, it just has felt so progressively hard. And yeah, last year in particular, there were just so many things being thrown at us as a society, being affected individually. Like, obviously, internally we're trying to figure out ways to be able to be open and share that and create the space. As a part of what the First Gems is about, is really creating that space to give the real, especially with opportunities for us to just be chatting and talking about like the real behind building a business, right? And talking about, things that happen in real life and how to just navigate bringing about content, to circle around that. And what I'm trying to say too is like, I feel like with our personalities, we're not really the folks to create like content like story time, like, oh, let me tell y'all what Tanina did last night. Like, we're just not really that type of brand, but still trying to find like creative and purposeful ways to share meaningful stories, real life stories, because we're really trying to connect with real life people who are going through real things as well. So I think that's also important. What other things do y'all feel were like emotionally or mentally harder this season than what you had expected?
Yeah, just as far as what was, a little bit mentally or emotionally challenging would be kind of deciding to move forward as a trio. Obviously, we started as a quadruple, but for certain reasons, like just changes in vision and just changes in, I guess, life and just circumstances, we weren't all four aligned anymore. So I think like trying to navigate like what that would look like, and also navigate, you know, individual emotions as well as group emotions, and trying to figure out, okay, what is the best solution? What, like, how can we grow from this? And we all still love the brand, but like for, reasons that were unexpected but needed to happen, I guess. We just had to just, figure out, okay, our future is looking more like this, and this is what we're gonna do. So
Yeah. I agree with you. And me personally, I feel like I don't know, I was discouraged a bit. I didn't know what it will look like continuing, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
And but that's why I'm giving so much credit to the resilience of us just keep going, because I think no matter what it ends up being or wherever we're at now, it doesn't take away from what we all started and the vision that we all had from it. We're all going to go through our
Yeah.
seasons, and I think it made that happening made me realize that we're all going through life things, like with employment, with relationships, like with starting
Mm-hmm.
families, starting unions. It's not always going to look like what we started it out to be. But our heart is still there. Our heart is still in it. If something happens and we decide to sunset it, I'm just really proud that we started it, and we just kept going, and we could say that from our little 10-year-old selves we built something, and that's what we always wanted. So I'm happy.
aw.
Yeah. I think that's a part of it too, is like, I don't know. I don't know how y'all felt, but it's like it's kind of hard to separate the business relationship with the personal relationship. And so when personal relationships crumble, or business relationships crumble rather, it does, to me at least, feel like a personal failure, right? So it's almost like a double whammy. But I mean, to me, I appreciate like what you and Claria are saying, because I think, yeah, we've shown a lot of like, all right, well, I think we're gonna still be okay, because we all still have like, emotional, financial, like all sorts of investments into making this a success. And that all stems from the original vision that we had. And I felt like that's something that's been able to kind of sustain me, is like, always thinking like, okay, well, this is bigger than this, as in like what we're building, the purpose behind the brand is bigger than anything, because I'm looking at the fruit that we're bearing, and the fruit that we have been able to bear in just the first, few years of putting this business together. And so I would say, yeah, just trying to separate the personal from the business in certain ways, where it's just been harder, because I've always really just seen y'all as family. So still putting on that hat of like, okay, well, Tanina leads like our operations and keeps us in line, and Clara's doing great with the web design and marketing. So yeah, like I think we'll be okay. But I can only imagine, like, with other family business dynamics, like, I guess I'm just learning what could happen in those moments. And, maybe everyone that you start with isn't who you, like, finish with. So, yeah, just some life lessons.
Wow.
We'll take some time there to pause. So thinking about some of the wins though, because I feel like we did have a lot of wins this season. Both things that we may have posted and celebrated with our community, or other things that we just, celebrated personally with each other. But, what are some of those wins that, you felt that we had this season as well?
I love the fact that Revolt World was our introduction into live event coverage. And I really feel like we kind of got like, our confidence from that event, and like even just kind of how we've been able to add it as like an offering that we do and like a skill that we're growing outside of podcasting. And I think it's also just speaking to more of like the media side of things that we, ultimately do want to create more so out of the first gym. So I definitely feel like, yeah, this year was, like, we honestly have no training in, in person interviewing, but I feel like we jumped in and we did a great job. Like, them recaps,
Yeah.
girl, the people we
Yeah.
found, and kind of just being bold and like just going up to people and being like, hey, y'all want to do this video? And we were surprised at like how many people were actually down. So I feel like that was a win. And just like seeing how, us putting ourselves out there and kind of being fearless a little bit, talking to strangers, asking questions, like it was worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. No, that's true. I like that you said that events, that's where like our confidence stemmed from when it came to talking to people at events. That's so true. Because after that, we're like, hey, we going to this thing. Let's just do what we did at Remote World, and that's
Exactly.
true. We had a lot of wins this season. How am I gonna pick? Okay. I would say a win is definitely, it's piggybacking off of what you said too, just people's willingness to collab and work with us. I think we
Mhm.
underestimate how dope we are and how magnetic we are, because when we go, like, we I think we kind of overthink certain connections and certain partnerships. I kind of think Anna does a great job of like being like, no, we got this. We did it. I feel like we
She does.
collectively though, we kind of overthink things a little bit, and then when we talk to them, it's just like, oh yeah, I would love to partner with you guys, and it leads to
Mhm.
something else and leads to something else. So I'm really proud of the collaborations that we were able to, like, even if it didn't manifest into anything yet, us getting out there, us talking to people, us cold reaching out to people, or people reaching out to us. And now we're able to expand our offerings, and we have our catalog, and we have a blog, and we have like, you know, different
Mhm.
things that we want to plan that's coming down the pipeline. So I'm really proud of the
Yeah.
connections.
Yes.
Yeah. That's perfect. Yeah, I don't know. I really just feel like if I'm in a room, I'm here for a reason. So, and we have so much, like, our story, our branding, everything, just even the feedback that we get. But as we're planning and coming up with these ideas, we are like growing in that media space. So I agree, like being able to like put together a deck or just like have some sort of deliverable to show where we've actually been this season has been like really cool to see, because it's like almost, it's like our resume, right, for this brand. And yeah, I really want us to just continue, whether we're individuals speaking on behalf of the Fresh Gems, the collective looking fly for the Fresh Gems, like this is who we are: cute, sassy, smart, everything else. And we really want to connect, and we really have some strong offerings that put us in certain spaces. So when we have our little board of where do we want to be this year, like we already know there's a space for us and there's a need for us to exist in these spaces. So um, that's a win in my heart. Yeah, shout out to us, really.
Amen. Shout out to who?
To us.
Oh yeah, shout out to us. Shout out to us.
So what were you saying amen to if you didn't know what she
Oh, just
said?
everything she said.
I've
Everything
been
she
like,
said.
Hmm.
This year was so monumental for so many different reasons. I really think, yeah, how Tanina, you said sometimes you kind of just underestimate like the collective power that we have, even the individual power we have, and how when we come together, it kind of just like lights up a room, respectfully. So,
It really
I
is.
mean, yeah, is there like a room that y'all can think of that we entered, this season or within the last like year or so where it still feels surreal, where it's still like, wow, like we really was there and we really did that and you know, just
Wait, I have an obvious one.
Cash Doll?
Oh, girl, yes, but it wasn't just Cash Doll. Y'all remember that was my
wow.
first time going to the Revolt Studio office
Yeah.
and preparing for that interview. I was hyperventilating in the green room. I remember Kalaria answered my FaceTime call. I was like, they got snacks for me. Snacks. Like, it was just a whole, like, it was real. And I'm just so grateful, one, to Revolt and everyone that works there. And just, shout out to Wise and Devin for giving us that opportunity and others
Mhm.
this past season. But I really got to see like firsthand like production, podcast production on like a bigger scale. And shout out to Cash Doll because
Yes.
she was just so much great energy in person, really calmed me down, relaxed me out. And for those of you that don't know, that episode that I shot with Cash Doll was in one take. Okay. So that's all I had was just no room for errors. And I
No
was just
edits.
like, we're
No
gonna do
edits.
this.
They didn't edit none
No
of that.
Wow.
edits,
Wow.
no
Okay,
bars.
one take eight.
Right.
Yeah. But I think that moment for sure, even walking in, I kind of have those moments where I'm like, how the hell did I get here? But I think, it was such an amazing episode and just a huge accomplishment that we were able to put together. So that was
Yeah.
definitely one.
Yeah, that's a good one for sure.
That is a good one.
I mean, I think my other one is still connected to Revolt. I think when we back to Miami Art Week, when we went to the Revolt party, and like the whole
Yes.
time, I don't know, I feel like, okay, the whole time we're kind of like, oh, we're having fun, we're connecting with people. And I think Anna spots Datavio. And then she's like, we have to make sure that we introduce ourselves and talk to him. And y'all have to know when Anna says stuff and who we should connect with, I feel like me and Kalaria are just like, okay. Yeah. Anna's so serious. She's like, why not? Like, we need to go talk to them. We need to make ourselves known. And it's like we kind of like follow Anna, like, okay, yeah, girl, you got
Oh,
it. You
that's
go
so
first.
funny.
And when we ended up connecting with Datavio, like I think I don't know how that happened, Anna. You gonna have to spill the beans on that. And we ended up in his section at the party, and we just started seeing
Mhm.
like a couple people we were collaborating with already, and they're like, "Oh, you guys are the first gems. I worked with you to book this and book that," and he was so welcoming. The team was so welcoming. It really
Yeah.
felt like such a full circle moment. Like it was like we're part of
Yeah.
this network. They've done so much for us, like, and getting to actually meet people offline, it just feels so surreal. And it really felt like we're like, wow, we made it to the cookout. We part of the family. So that room definitely felt surreal because it was just a good time, great vibes, great energy, like so welcoming, and like it put me at peace, and I know all of us at peace that we are part of this. So shout out to
Yes.
Revolt.
Shout out to Revolt. We
Oh
are
shit.
family.
Mhm.
Anna, you need to spill the beans how we got to Datavio's table, cause girl, what?
Oh, I'm just gonna have to put out a masterclass. Yeah, let's do that. But no, in like overall, again, it just speaks to like the fact that yeah, we're in Miami for Art Basel. We're at Revolt House for the first time, and these are our people, right? We're part of the network. We were just having a good time. It really just felt like a really fun like house party, family reunion type of thing. So I'm not telling people to like try to sneak your way into something, but really just see alignment where there is alignment and put yourself in a position of I'm meant to be here. Like I'm here to connect and network and just, have a good time with my people, which is exactly what we did. It was such a good time.
Them right there, you
Yeah.
better pick it up.
I know that
Oh
was
yeah,
nice.
and we didn't even mention who Datavio was. He's the CEO of Revolt. So for people who
Mhm.
don't know.
He's the boss. Anyways, so yeah, I mean, speaking of Revolt, the partnership has been amazing, so far. And to you guys' point, like just the support we feel and just the overall just energy that we, get from every single person that we meet in person or even virtually via the Zoom calls or, emails. Everything always just feels so supportive and just such like a caring environment. What would you guys say since partnering with them? Has anything shifted within you all internally?
Yes, absolutely. I don't know if y'all feel the same way, but since we've been integrated into the creator network and the podcast network, I feel like I've learned so much about, when we're building a business that's more than one of us, like really getting outside opinions to pressure test ideas. So I'll use like, Wise and Devin, for example, and just try to gauge like some 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 guidance around, hey, we want to interview like these types of guests. Like, do y'all have a personal contact or, you know, just any sort of ask for help and support. I think that's also opened my mind to say like that's really how everyone else in the business world and entrepreneurship world they're getting ahead because they're raising their hand and asking questions and sharing ideas with other founders, with other creatives. And so I think that with this season in particular, just to the point that we've all been talking about, when we're actually connected with the people that we're emailing back and forth with, that's already like a relationship that we're building. And being able to kind of circle back with people and be like, hey, what do you think about this? Or like, you know, um, just being inspired to think outside of our like internal meetings that we have, which are like obviously we are stewarding this business together, but I've learned so much about the importance of just taking some of these ideas that are just up here and trying to like ground them to other people who may have already done it and can help us out. So that's been great this year.
So obviously us partnering with Revolt has opened, our network and our, pool of access in certain ways. And, sometimes we get like maybe like interest in getting in interviewing a guest, but maybe we're like, I don't know if this is like a guest that we, necessarily aligns with, what we're building, but maybe we can figure out another way to, remix this and still work with them in another way. So, have you guys learned anything about discernment when it comes to, certain opportunities versus like just kind of the opportunity and like going for an opportunity just because it's there?
Yeah, I think this season we've had to say no or not quite more often than we have in the past. I think when we first started it was just us, and then when we started bringing on guests we're like, look, we want anybody who's a first gen. Just come on and talk your stuff, which I think all of that was very important cuz it led us to this point. But I think there is value in saying no to opportunities that's not necessarily aligned, and that's how we grow. Another thing that I'm proud of us though is reiterating the fact that we're not just a podcast. We've expanded offerings. So we don't want to just throw potential collaborations on the table or on the floor if there is some alignment there. So being able to say like, hey, we're not sure if a podcast will really be the best for our collaboration, but we'd love to add you to our marketplace, or we can spotlight what you're doing on our blog, or you have a brand, we're happy to do some UGC content for you, you know? And not that we can't do a combination of all those things, but having different lanes for things that helps us sharpen like what each zone of genius for us is and who it caters to. So, yeah, I like that we say no.
I agree. I agree. And again, it's just the three of us running it. So hopefully in the future, when we get more staff to support, we can do a lot more. But to your point, Sanina, is like we have our model and we do have our values and just like how we see the brand growing. So it's been really interesting, like having opportunities that, could be great, but just being strong on what our set, parameters are for this brand, just so that we still have like that brand identity, which is also important.
No, yeah. So true. And I love that you touched on our brand identity because I think the more that we create, the more that we collaborate, the more that we expand, we step deeper into our identity. I felt like when we first came out, we had our brand identity kind of at a higher level, and like the more things that we put out, it gets a little bit more finite. So, where do you feel like TFG really sounded like itself? Like if you could think to all of the things that we've done and created, like what felt the most aligned?
I would say so. I'm not thinking of like one particular moment, but I'm thinking about some of the more kind of on the spot ideas. So, we have a really good support system that helps us think about editorial opportunities every month, to align with different holidays. And, we're trying to think ahead to like align ourselves to big moments in the year. And so I think whenever we think about, for example, last year's Valentine episode with Kalari and Jimmy, like people want to hear stuff like about first gen love, right? So everything that we kind of cater or TFGify to say to align with big moments. And, Tanina, you talk like when we do stuff on social media around like Met Gala and even just like the content that we produce around like, the culture fit checks, like just taking big novel ideas and then like consistently tailoring it to our brand is kind of like the sweet spot that we started to figure out in season 3, where we're not just like chasing moments, we're really embedding it into what the brand is. So I think that's been a big like kind of resounding moment of like
Yeah.
brand clarity for us.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's true when you say like we're not just chasing big moments. I think that's what makes our content and the things that we produce so evergreen. Like we can look back at an episode from season 1 and it's still relevant, you know? And it's like we're not trying to like no dig at any gossip or pop culture moments, but it's like I think us being intentional about the topics that we decide to speak on, it helps us in the long run in terms of like legacy content, if I may say. Yeah. So I agree with that. I think even um focusing our topics or the people that we spoke to this season to like creatives and founders, I thought that was just like such a natural progression too, because it kind of took us from focusing on like the characteristics of the person, like, oh, they're a first gen. And it made us really intentional about like what they're doing, what they're creating, what they're building, and how it can really help others. Yeah.
Yeah. I would also even say our first time sort of hosting a panel-ish, kind of a little bit, when we did the ACIU event. I do feel like in a lot of ways, like the people in the room, like those were our people. Like, it was kind of like just kind of seeing our listeners in physical form. So I do think that like in the segment that we did have, Shirley with them, I do feel like we, were having fun and like we sounded like us because we were being us. And it was just like, kind of just energy that we naturally have just in a room. And I feel like people felt that. And yeah, I feel like that was a good kind of like test of like, okay, like moving maybe into season 4, how can we do more live, you know, shows or panels and take that same sort of essence and bring it to our listeners and our community in person. So, yeah.
I agree. That was a fun time.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah. I think something we didn't mention, our catalog, our Culture First catalog, that felt really aligned to me. You know? And I feel
Mhm.
like every meeting that we have, um I just see like so much purpose and alignment with what we're starting to build. So for those listening who don't know what our First Gems Culture First catalog is, it's our online marketplace where we pull in different first gen owned brands, showcase what it is that they are doing, and we lead to their shop. And typically we have some type of discount code. So if y'all want to go shopping, that is your place to go to get the deals, and to check out some cool brands. Yeah, so that felt really aligned to what TFG is all about, and I think this season we really leaned in on the community aspect of our pillars. Yeah, yeah. Okay. So in talking about like where we feel aligned and things we've worked on, how has our idea of success evolved, and what does longevity look like for the First Gems?
Ooh. Um, I think success has looked like showing up and whether that's like physically or meeting up in a city and getting content done, whether it was successful or not, just, putting the idea together and making the effort to show up has been successful. I think what we're still looking ahead to, you know, um, continue to do is just like with the consistency, right? And just really trying to find like our rhythm and cadence for building the brand, and doing so that's like intentionally, and also with the idea that we intend for the podcast and the brand to go as far as it possibly can, especially as the brand itself, and branch off into other entities. And so just, yeah, continuing to be consistent as much as we can by way of showing up for each other. So, yeah.
That was so beautifully put.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, I think just starting out like season 1, I think we we were successful just with recording on the phone, audio only, and releasing episodes. And so as time has gone on, obviously we've evolved with how we distribute our content, both via podcast and via social. So I think success has evolved in a way of kind of just expanding our execution of things, and just having an idea is one thing, but I think us really like executing on it is the bigger thing that we have started to get better at. Because I mean, we do like a ton of like vision, like planning, and a lot of like 2026 goals for the brand and all these things. And we have like so many great ideas and so many like, grand visions and like opportunities and pathways that we can take with the brand. So I think as we continue to, work to build the brand, just like really being adamant about executing. And Tanina, you have been an MVP just with like, the tasks and everything. Cause I do feel like that is so helpful. And like,
Yeah.
We need that, in order to execute. So yeah, execution has been like the thing that we've really been focusing on, and we've seen results.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, y'all both hit the nail on the head with those. Like yeah, I feel like you said all everything that I wanted to say. So, yeah.
I was gonna say, as we expand the team, we are looking for some additional hands. So if you're trying to rock with these gems, hit us up. I would love to work with y'all. All right. I love this conversation. I feel like y'all brought back some memories that I was like, oh, I forgot that happened in season 3. It's just a testament to how far we've come collectively and individually, because we forgot, a whole bunch of life had happened in between all of that as well. So again, I'm just reiterating how proud I am of y'all and how excited I am to see what comes in season 4. So just a couple quick little rapid fire gems to spit. We'll do it differently in the way that we're dropping our gems. So really quick, what's one thing that you're leaving behind in season 3?
Doubt.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm getting all the audacity this year.
I was gonna say
Love
something along those lines. I was gonna say fear.
Hmm. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I was just gonna say like this mic and my laptop, but since we're being deep, procrastination, you know, procrastination. I'm trying to get rid of that in general, but season 3 for sure. And then one word for the next chapter being season 4 and beyond with the brand. What's one word that y'all will carry?
I think I said this word a lot. Bold. Like bold in
Yeah.
everything that we do. Conversations, the looks, the like having audacity. Like I said, it's just bold. Like we need to come in big. We need to
Ooh.
I wanted to say Beyonce. Have you heard that sound where it's like
Yeah.
I want something big. I wanted to say
Beyonce.
Beyonce. Yeah. Big and bold.
I love it.
Mm. I would say impactful. I think it's great that we're able to reflect on how far we've come, and hopefully through our personal journey and our journey as a group, we're impacting people who want to start anything and see where it takes them.
I love that. Yeah, similar word for me is connected, just being more connected on our social media, growing community intentionally, and just internally just staying connected as co-founders and partners in this business. I think that'll be really important moving forward. Spirit
Yeah.
fingers. All right. Well, I think this is a great way to close the chapter on season 3, finally. So I'm again just reiterating my gratitude for my gems and for all of our listeners, our day ones, all of our friends and family, and new listeners that came aboard this season have been growing with us since the beginning of the First Gems podcast. Really appreciate all of our guests. We had some amazing guests this season who are doing just like incredible things in their respective fields. So we're really grateful that you all were able to lend your expertise and your story to share. Really grateful for the new partnerships that we've built in this season, all of the just support and wisdom and blessings pouring into this brand, all the things unseen as well. I'm really proud of us again for our growth, our individual growth as entrepreneurs. We can call ourselves that for sure. And just as women growing. And I'm just looking forward to season 4 being that much more intentional and purpose led and just to bear more fruit. We are not done yet. I don't even think we're halfway done with what we're aiming to do with this podcast and this brand and our mission. And so again, I'm just grateful to have y'all with us. I'm grateful to have y'all with me. And I'm just grateful to God.
Same. Amen.
Yes.
Amen.
Won't he do it?
All right, well, y'all, this was season 3 of the First Gems. Thank you for listening deeply, for growing with us, and for letting this space evolve. Thank y'all for y'all grace. We're not rushing what's next, so we'll see y'all soon.
We
See
love
ya.
y'all.